Wrestler's Court, accusations of racism, and feuds with WWE executives. Theodore Long's career has been anything but boring. Today we're diving deep into the career of Teddy Long, and trust me, it's a lot more complicated than you might think. Let's start with some background. Theodore Long began his wrestling career way back in the 1960s, a time when being a black man in the business was extra tough. Opportunities were limited, and sadly, racism was just a normal part of life for many. He didn't get bookings, and he was never included in the inner circle, which is terrible. But Theodore didn't give up. He worked hard behind the scenes, helping out wrestlers like Tommy Rich and Abdullah the Butcher. And then, things changed. He finally got a chance to be a referee in 1985 for a company called Jim Crockett Promotions, which, as you all know, later became WCW. This was a big step, but even then things weren't fair. In the 80s, he even sued WCW, saying they were discriminating against him because of his race, which shows how much he had to fight just to be treated equally. On top of that, like many people in wrestling, Theodore struggled with things outside the ring. He's been open about his past problems with drugs and alcohol, which caused him trouble with the law and made it harder to succeed in his career. Thankfully, he was able to overcome these challenges and get his life back on track. Even when he made it to WWE, the biggest wrestling company in the world, in 1998, things weren't always easy. At first, they gave him a stereotypical role, managing mostly black wrestlers. This kind of thing, even if it wasn't meant to be harmful, can still be unfair and play into outdated ideas about race. It took time for Theodore to break out of that box and show everyone how talented he really was. Long finally came out of his limiting role and became a popular authority figure on WWE's SmackDown brand. He was known for his charisma, his catchphrases, and his crazy ability to create exciting matches. But even when he became a popular figure in WWE, making matches and calling the shots on SmackDown, he still had to deal with racism. He's talked about how another famous wrestler, Ric Flair, treated him badly, including using racist language and not paying him what he was owed. Whether or not all of that is completely true, it shows the kind of environment Theodore sometimes had to work in. But he wasn't a saint, guys. He's had some of his controversies, and it would be unfair if we didn't say them here. If you've been in the wrestling world long enough, you've probably heard of Wrestler's Court. It's like a backstage roast session where wrestlers settle disputes. And guess what? Teddy got dragged into it not once but twice. The first time, Teddy was caught selling Viagra pills in the locker room. Yup, Viagra. No one knows exactly where he got them, but he was making a nice little profit off his coworkers. JBL found out about it and called him out. The second time Teddy got into trouble was for being, well, cheap. Wrestlers noticed he'd often fake being asleep or pretend he forgot his wallet whenever it was time to split tolls or pay for meals during road trips. Pete Gas didn't mince words about it, calling Teddy not a cheapskate, but a cheap MF. Triple H was the judge this time, and you guessed it, Teddy was found guilty. Surprisingly, Teddy wasn't too bothered by all this. He actually thought the whole thing was funny and saw it as a way to bond with his coworkers. Classic Teddy. Now let's talk about Teddy's feud with John Laurinaitis, one of WWE's higher-ups. Teddy has been pretty vocal about his dislike for John, accusing him of holding him back in his career and playing favorites backstage. The two clashed during Teddy's time as SmackDown GM. John undermined his authority, and their tension even spilled into a storyline. At WrestleMania 28, John's team beat Teddy's, costing Teddy his GM role. Ouch, Laurinaitis eventually left WWE under a cloud of scandal, involving hush money and some pretty serious accusations. While Teddy hasn't directly commented on that, you can bet he wasn't shedding any tears over John's exit. In recent years, Teddy has also had some strong opinions about WWE's rival promotion, All Elite Wrestling. He's criticized AEW's leadership for showing favoritism and not having strong enough direction. Teddy believes those issues are behind some of AEW's backstage drama and inconsistent storytelling. It's clear Teddy wants AEW to succeed, but he doesn't hold back when he sees something he doesn't like. Whether you agree with him or not, you've got to respect his honesty. These are just some basic controversies. Terry is more than this. It's also important to remember that Theodore has had some health problems in recent years. He's been dealing with diabetes and other issues, which have made it harder for him to work as much as he used to. But even with these challenges, He's still a respected figure in the wrestling world. Theodore Long's story is a reminder that even when things are tough, you can overcome challenges and achieve your dreams. He never gave up. He kept working hard, and he entertained millions of fans along the way. He's a true inspiration to us all. He's also a reminder that racism is a real problem that people have to deal with in many different parts of life. Even though we've come a long way, we still need to keep working to make things better for everyone, no matter their race. Anyway, the controversies end here. Now, if you're a real fan, keep watching because now we have some highlights of his career. Teddy's story didn't start with flashy catchphrases and meme-worthy moments. Teddy Long's journey into professional wrestling began in the 1980s, well before he became a household name. His first role in the business was as a humble errand boy for wrestlers Tommy Rich and Abdullah the Butcher in the NWA. He did whatever was needed, from fetching food to running small errands. Teddy's willingness to do whatever it took eventually earned him a spot on the ring crew, where he set up and took down the ring at events. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. Teddy's big break came in 1985 when he transitioned to being a referee in the NWA. It was here that he started gaining visibility among fans and wrestlers alike. His role as a referee allowed him to travel with the company and immerse himself further in the world of professional wrestling. One of the most memorable moments during this time was Teddy's involvement in matches featuring wrestling legends like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, and the Road Warriors. Fans may not have realized it then, but the man calling the action in the ring was destined for much bigger things. In the late 1980s, Teddy transitioned from referee to manager, a role that would shape the rest of his career. His managerial debut was tied to a storyline in 1989, where he turned heel, a wrestling term for a villain. This change came after he began favoring the Team of Doom, which consisted of Ron Simmons and Butch Reed. As a manager, Teddy's personality really started to shine. His quick wit, charisma, and natural ability to hype up a crowd made him a perfect fit for the role. Teddy became a mouthpiece for his wrestlers, allowing them to focus on their in-ring performances while he built heat with his trash talk and antics. By the late 90s, he joined WWE as a referee, but soon returned to managing. This time, he embraced a loud, over-the-top persona, managing wrestlers like D'Lo Brown, Rodney Mack, and Mark Henry in a faction fans jokingly called Thuggin' and Buggin' Enterprises. Of course, Teddy became a household name when he became the general manager of SmackDown. His quirky personality, unique dance moves, and ability to create memorable moments made him a fan favorite. He also played a key role in helping stars like JBL, Booker T, and Rey Mysterio rise to the top. Teddy's time in wrestling wasn't all sunshine and tag team matches. Some fans and critics have pointed out issues with the way his character was written, especially in how it leaned on racial stereotypes. While many saw it as entertaining, others felt it crossed the line at times. Behind the scenes, Teddy's reputation for being frugal, his clashes with Laurinaitis, and even the Viagra incident have added layers to his legacy. He's a beloved figure, but like anyone in the public eye, he's had his flaws and moments of controversy. In 2017, Teddy was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, cementing his place as one of the most memorable figures in wrestling history. Outside the ring, his personal life has had its share of challenges. Teddy was married to his wife, Tasha, for 40 years before her passing in 2022, a heartbreaking loss for him. Teddy Long's career is a perfect example of the highs and lows that come with fame. He went from being an errand boy to becoming one of the most iconic personalities in wrestling. Along the way, he made fans laugh, created unforgettable moments, and even stirred up a little drama. Sure, he's had his controversies, selling Viagra in the locker room, dodging tolls. Those are stories only someone like Teddy Long could be involved in. But that's part of what makes him such a fascinating figure. He's not perfect, and he's never pretended to be. Whether you love him for his catchphrases, his time as GM, or just the sheer chaos he brought to the wrestling world, there's no denying that Teddy Long is one of a kind. So what do you think about Teddy Long's career? Is he one of the greats, or do the controversies overshadow his accomplishments? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about wrestling's most legendary personalities.